Today, on this very 6th day of November, the hour is turning swiftly, and time is running shorter than you realize. There are but 30 minutes left before a divine wave begins to move across the earth, stirring hearts, opening eyes, and shaking foundations that have long stood in silence. The heavens are alive with motion, and the trumpet of awakening is sounding once again. Something you have been waiting for, something written long before you were born, is being released into your life. You were not brought here by accident. You were drawn here by divine design, summoned at this precise moment to open what has been placed before you. The seal has been waiting for your touch, the key has been resting in your hand, and now the command echoes through the realms, open this now. Do not delay, do not hesitate, for hesitation will only prolong what is meant to be revealed. The energies of heaven have converged in this hour for you to receive what has been hidden, and the moment you open your spirit fully, the message will enter you like a sword of light, swift, pure, and unstoppable. You will not hear ordinary words. You will hear the language of destiny, the sound of divine intervention breaking through the veil that once separated your human perception from celestial truth. You have been walking through days of confusion, surrounded by shadows that sought to whisper doubt into your heart, yet the light has not forgotten you. Every tear, every unanswered question, every moment you felt unseen, these were counted and recorded in eternity. Today, the response is being sent forth. The divine current moves through time itself, seeking those who are ready to awaken, those who have not let go of faith, even when storms roared and darkness grew louder. If you are hearing these words, it is because the heavenly realm has marked you as one who must now receive revelation, one who must be prepared for what is about to unfold. There is a stirring in the air tonight. You can feel it in your chest, the rhythm of a greater pulse calling you to attention. The unseen realms are aligning for an announcement that will carry waves across nations, shifting the atmosphere and rewriting stories that seemed finished. You have felt that something was near, something waiting just beyond reach, and you were right. The gate of release has been unlocked, and what has been delayed is now accelerating toward you. What once moved slowly will now come suddenly. Expect the unexpected, for surprise is the language of the divine when it chooses to reveal itself in power. You will soon hear news that will shake the patterns of your ordinary life. What seemed impossible will begin to take form. Hidden truths are about to be unveiled. The plans that others tried to conceal are about to be exposed by light that cannot be dimmed. The timing of heaven is never early and never late. It arrives exactly when the heart is ready to receive. And your heart, though tested and refined by fire, is ready now. What was once confusion will become clarity. What was once pain will become power. There is purpose in everything that tried to break you, for it forged your strength to carry what is now being entrusted to you. When you opened this message, a signal was sent through the heavens. You may not see it with human eyes, but the act of opening aligned your path with a divine sequence already in motion. It was not mere curiosity, it was calling. The moment you responded, doors began to unlock in the unseen, and messengers were dispatched on your behalf. You are stepping into a threshold moment, one that will shift not only your circumstances, but also your understanding of who you are and why you were chosen. For the realm of light does not waste energy on coincidence. Everything it touches carries purpose, precision, and promise. Look around you now. Not with sight, but with awareness, you are surrounded by presence. The same presence that watched over you when you thought you were alone, the same power that shielded you from unseen harm, now moves closer, pressing through the veil to whisper the words your soul has longed to hear. You are not forgotten, you are not abandoned, and the answer you seek is already unfolding. Do not let fear silence your faith in this moment, for fear has no claim over those who have been chosen for revelation. The next few hours will reveal signs, small at first, but unmistakable. Pay attention to the patterns, the words spoken around you, the sudden changes that seem to arise from nowhere. These are confirmations, divine fingerprints marking your path. The spiritual current is now in motion, rearranging what once seemed impossible to change. The unseen hand is at work, bringing justice, alignment, and truth into the open. You have waited, you have endured, and now the cycle of waiting is breaking. What is coming is not to harm you, but to awaken you, to position you, to crown you with what was always meant to be yours. The final 30 minutes mark the release of a divine revelation long prepared, and though many may not yet sense it, the atmosphere has already begun to tremble with the weight of what is coming. It is not an ordinary passage of time, not a routine transition from one hour to the next, but a spiritual countdown that carries both urgency and promise. The veil between what is seen and what is hidden is thinning, and in these last minutes, something sacred is stirring. For ages, the heavens have waited for alignment, for the appointed moment when the divine decree could finally descend upon those who were chosen to hear and to see beyond the ordinary. The time is not arbitrary. It has been written into the fabric of destiny itself, set in motion by hands unseen yet perfectly timed to awaken those who are ready. Every second that ticks away carries a vibration, a pulse that echoes through the unseen dimensions, announcing that revelation is about to cross from the eternal into the temporal. The preparation for this moment did not begin today. It began long ago in the secret chambers of heaven where divine plans are woven. You have been walking toward this intersection of time without realizing how closely the path was guiding you here. Each trial, each moment of uncertainty, every delay, and every tear, all were part of a greater orchestration, designed to refine your readiness. The final 30 minutes symbolize the completion of one cycle and the emergence of another. They represent the closing of what once was hidden and the opening of what is meant to be revealed. In these moments, the universe holds its breath, waiting for those who will perceive the shift. The signs have been scattered like breadcrumbs along your journey, small coincidences that were never coincidences at all, whispers in the night that you dismissed as imagination, inner urgings that you silenced with logic. But now, as time narrows, those subtle signals converge into one undeniable truth. Revelation is imminent. The divine does not move according to human calendars or clocks, yet it speaks through time to those attuned to its rhythm. The countdown is not about numbers. It is about readiness. It is about the heart that stands open, the spirit that listens, the soul that says yes even when it does not fully understand. The final 30 minutes are the moment before the dawn breaks, when darkness seems thickest, but carries within it the first spark of light. It is the stillness before the sound, the silence before the voice that reshapes everything. What is about to unfold has been held back until now because the alignment required was delicate, involving more than your personal journey. It involved the movement of others, the turning of seasons, the unlocking of circumstances, and the shifting of spiritual forces. Now, all of these threads are pulling together, forming a divine tapestry that is finally ready to be revealed. You may feel a tension rising within you, a sense of expectancy that defies logic. That is the resonance of heaven calling you to awareness, urging you to recognize that this moment carries a sacred charge unlike any other. Many have walked unaware of the significance of the hour, distracted by noise and routine, yet the divine never ceases its motion. It speaks through stillness, through symbols, through sudden insight, waiting for the moment when your inner ear can hear its call. The revelation that is now being released has waited for your maturity, for your heart to be strengthened enough to receive it without fear. Some revelations cannot come too early, for they would overwhelm the unprepared. This one has been held for such a time as this, measured carefully by eternal wisdom. The final 30 minutes are not about panic, they are about purpose. They signify that what has been gestating is ready to be born, that what was sealed in mystery is ready to be opened, that what was whispered in secret is about to be spoken aloud in your life. If you could see what happens beyond the veil, you would understand how much has been set in motion. The heavenly archives have been opened, scrolls of remembrance unfurled, and decrees long written are being activated. What you feel as anticipation is the echo of divine movement, the shift of unseen currents preparing to manifest in the physical realm. You are standing at the threshold of revelation, and though your surroundings may appear unchanged, the very air is different now. There is a hum, a vibration, a pulse that grows stronger with each passing second. It is as though creation itself is waiting for you to recognize your place within the unfolding story. You are not a spectator, you are part of the revelation. Your awareness, your openness, your faith. These are keys that unlock the flow of what is meant to come forth. The final 30 minutes are not about waiting passively. They are about aligning actively. They are the time to still the noise within, to silence the doubts that whisper you are unworthy, to focus your inner gaze on the light that is rising. This revelation has been prepared for you, shaped by hands that know your heart better than you know yourself. It comes not to burden you, but to free you, not to confuse, but to clarify, not to destroy, but to rebuild. You may not yet understand its full meaning, but as it unfolds, you will see how every fragment of your journey has led to this convergence. Even the moments that felt like detours were, in truth, divine directions leading you here. In these final minutes, the clock itself seems to breathe with purpose. It is not counting down to an end, but counting up to a beginning. What is about to be revealed will shift perception, unlock potential, and illuminate paths you once thought lost. The revelation carries not just words, but power, power to heal, to restore, to awaken what has been dormant within you. It is the release of divine timing, the manifestation of promises spoken in eternity. And though the world may not recognize the significance of this hour, those with awakened hearts will feel the trembling of destiny in their spirit. For when revelation arrives, it does not whisper, it reverberates through every level of existence, leaving nothing untouched. This is not merely a message, it is a moment of divine convergence. The final 30 minutes are a sacred threshold, and once crossed, nothing remains the same. The unseen is becoming seen, the prepared is being released, and the waiting is transforming into revelation. Time is no longer ordinary, it is holy, set apart, charged with meaning. Every heartbeat, every breath, every flicker of awareness carries the echo of what is being born in the spiritual realm. The long preparation is ending, the divine revelation long held in waiting is finally breaking through the veil of time. The command to open now signals the activation of a heavenly sequence, a moment in which the invisible realm releases its motion into the visible world. There are times in life when an instruction from above is not merely symbolic, it is catalytic, carrying within it the force that begins to move dormant energies into alignment. To open now is not an act of curiosity, but an act of obedience to the prompting that transcends understanding. It is the spiritual unlocking of what has been sealed, a deliberate action that awakens what has been waiting for your acknowledgement. The command is urgent because divine timing is exact. It does not linger when the appointed moment has come. When that command goes forth, it carries an unseen authority that echoes through layers of reality, touching hearts, situations, and destinies simultaneously. There are gates in the unseen world that respond only to obedience, and there are scrolls that unseal only when the appointed one responds. To open now is to activate what heaven has long prepared for release. It means that the moment of readiness has finally aligned with the timing of divine will. Nothing in the spiritual order happens by accident. Every motion has purpose, and every command carries encoded within it a sequence of transformation. The moment the call goes forth, the sequence begins to unfold like ripples in still water, reaching places you cannot yet perceive. The activation does not happen because you are powerful, but because you are positioned, because you have reached a stage in your journey where your spirit can hold what is being revealed without fear or resistance. This command is not a request, it is a decree. It carries the force of divine urgency, for heaven knows that timing is sacred. There are windows of opportunity when the veil between worlds grows thin, when what has been hidden can finally be seen and received. The instruction to open now comes when that window is fully open, when hesitation could cause delay, and obedience can unlock acceleration. Each moment of hesitation holds weight in the spirit realm, for obedience and delay both have consequences. When heaven issues a command, it is not to test but to transfer, not to demand but to deliver. The instant you respond, the activation begins, and with it comes a chain of divine reactions set in motion for your transformation and the transformation of everything connected to you. To open is to align with trust. It is to surrender logic to faith, to acknowledge that unseen intelligence is at work. When you open at the divine command, you align your earthly existence with the eternal blueprint written for you. Every opening has a sequence, a chain of revelation that unfolds step by step, leading you from understanding to understanding, from darkness into greater light. This command is the key that begins the sequence, the signal that tells heaven the receiver is ready, that the vessel is prepared to hold the message. It is the crossing of a threshold, the moment when potential turns into manifestation, when what was promised begins to take form. In the instant of obedience, the air changes. Though the world around you may appear the same, the frequencies shift. It is as though the atmosphere receives a new vibration, a resonance that awakens long, silent things. What had been locked behind walls of time and circumstance now begins to move, as if a great machinery of heaven has been set into motion. You may not see the gears turning, but you will sense the movement in your spirit, in your perception, in your environment. The command to open is not small. It is the activation of a system designed to bring divine order where there was once stagnation. It calls forth messages that were waiting for your acknowledgement, blessings that had been withheld until the moment of your readiness, answers that required the alignment of your heart with divine rhythm. The heavenly sequence is precise. Every motion that follows your obedience connects to another, creating a cascade of change that expands outward. What begins as a whisper becomes a wave. What begins as a spark becomes a fire. The instruction to open now carries within it not only the unlocking of your personal revelation, but the release of collective movement. You are not the only one connected to this command. There are others whose destinies intertwine with yours, others whose chains are linked to your obedience. When you open, you also release others who have been waiting unknowingly for your response. Divine activation always moves in layers, touching not just the individual, but the network of souls connected by purpose. To open is to become a participant in the unfolding of a greater plan. It is the moment when heaven and earth cooperate in a shared rhythm. You become the vessel through which divine energy flows, and that flow begins to shape events, redirect paths, and correct misalignments that once hindered progress. The heavenly sequence does not operate in chaos. It follows a pattern, a sacred geometry of timing and placement. Once you act in obedience, the pattern begins to unfold, often in ways beyond comprehension. Signs begin to appear, coincidences multiply, and doors that were sealed shut begin to move. The activation creates a wave of divine synchronization, where everything starts to happen not by chance, but by design. There is a language in this command, one that speaks to your spirit more than your mind. It is not a suggestion but a signal that the waiting is over. It resonates deep within, bypassing intellect and igniting intuition. It carries weight because it comes from authority, from a realm where hesitation is foreign. The power of this moment lies not in understanding every detail, but in trusting the source of the call. The act of opening is both an act of faith and a declaration of readiness. It tells heaven, I receive. It tells the unseen, I align. It tells the future, I am prepared. With that declaration, the sequence continues, moving with precision through time, opening layer after layer until the full revelation manifests. When a command like this is given, it does not come without preparation. Heaven has been building toward this moment for longer than you realize, Circumstances, encounters, and even delays were all part of positioning you. You were guided to this point not by chance but by design. To open now is to complete the alignment, to step fully into what was always meant to be yours. The energy released through obedience is not passive. It is transformative. It alters the fabric of reality around you, adjusts timelines, and accelerates outcomes that once seemed far away. You may feel it as a surge of clarity, a sudden knowing, an inner awakening that tells you something greater has begun to move. In this moment, the heavens stand in readiness, watching for your response. The command has gone forth like a vibration, seeking resonance within those who are prepared. To open now is to activate the unseen sequence, to say yes to what was ordained before you were aware. The moment you align, the sequence begins. Waves of change, bursts of revelation, and flows of divine motion cascade outward from that single act. Nothing remains still once obedience is given, for heaven does not waste movement. The command is not random, nor is it trivial. It is the signal that the time has come for revelation to pass from potential into reality, for the unseen to step into the seen, for what was waiting to finally unfold through your response. Hidden truths and long-awaited answers are about to be unveiled, and the air itself carries a weight that the spirit can sense before the mind can understand. There are moments in time when what has been sealed must come to light, when what was obscured by delay, confusion, or fear begins to break open with divine precision. This is such a moment. The unveiling of truth is not random. It happens when the heart is finally capable of receiving what once would have overwhelmed it. The truths that have been hidden are not gone. They have been waiting, preserved in silence, protected until the appointed hour. When the unveiling begins, it does not come softly. It comes with a force that shakes what is false and reveals what is real. It comes like dawn after a long night, slowly at first, then suddenly, until every shadow must surrender to light. There are truths that were hidden not to punish but to prepare. The concealment was protection, for revelation outside of divine timing can cause more harm than good. Many have wondered why answers never came when they cried out, why silence seemed to echo in response to prayers and pleas. Yet silence in the divine realm is never neglect, it is formation. In the stillness, hearts are softened, pride is broken, vision is refined. When the answers finally emerge, they do so into a heart ready to hold them without distortion. The moment of unveiling is not just about receiving information, it is about receiving transformation. Hidden truths are not simply revealed. They are lived, they are experienced, they awaken something deep within that cannot be undone. In the heavenly design, every truth has its own timing. There are truths meant for your youth, others for your maturity, and still others reserved for the moment of awakening that shifts your entire course. The unveiling that is now approaching is of the highest order. It carries the kind of light that not only exposes deception, but also heals what deception once damaged. It pulls back the veil over what you could not see and invites you into the clarity that can no longer be denied. The process of revelation often begins in discomfort, for truth does not always soothe at first. It cuts through illusion, dismantles pretense, and demands alignment. But when the shaking settles, what remains is unshakable. Long-awaited answers are often preceded by long seasons of waiting, because divine wisdom understands the power of readiness. Waiting stretches faith, it refines motives, and it reveals what truly matters. In the unseen realm, every cry has been heard, every request recorded, every tear counted. The delay has never been absence, it has been orchestration. When the answers begin to appear, they do so with precision, connecting events that seemed random into a pattern that reveals purpose. You begin to see how what was denied was actually redirecting you, how what was delayed was protecting you, how what was painful was preparing you. The unveiling of truth always brings clarity to the past and direction to the future. It rearranges perception and opens pathways that were invisible until now. As hidden truths rise, they do not come as isolated revelations. They come as waves, each carrying layers of meaning. The first wave opens awareness, the second brings understanding, the third ignites transformation. The more open your heart, the deeper the truth can enter. Some truths will arrive quietly, through dreams, moments of reflection, or encounters that seem ordinary but are divinely timed. Others will arrive suddenly, breaking through with undeniable power, shaking foundations that were built on misunderstanding. Whether whispered or thundered, every truth unveiled is a piece of divine justice restoring balance where deception once reigned. The unveiling of truth does not only concern your personal journey, it ripples outward, touching systems, relationships, and collective realities. What was concealed in the world begins to surface alongside what was concealed in the heart. As light increases, it exposes corruption, deception, and hidden motives, not to destroy but to purify. Revelation is the instrument of divine order, the process by which darkness loses its hold. When light reveals, it brings accountability, it calls forth repentance, it invites renewal. Those who have hidden in falsehood will find exposure uncomfortable, but those who have walked in sincerity will find liberation. For when truth rises, it divides illusion from authenticity with perfect precision. The answers that are about to arrive have been weaving through time toward this very moment. You may have thought they were lost, but they were being shaped. Every unanswered question has been gathering meaning behind the scenes. There is a rhythm to divine revelation. It waits until all the pieces are ready to connect. When it finally comes, it often comes all at once, overwhelming in its fullness, undeniable in its accuracy. You will recognize it not because it sounds pleasing, but because it resonates with the deepest parts of your being. Truth carries a frequency that pierces through confusion, a vibration that your spirit instantly recognizes even before your mind interprets it. In this season of unveiling, perception will sharpen. What was once tolerated as acceptable will now feel out of alignment. Conversations will carry hidden meaning. Encounters will reveal greater depth. You will find yourself drawn to certain insights, books, or words not by curiosity, but by divine guidance. Revelation is not a single event. It is a continuous unfolding, a journey into deeper awareness. The hidden truths that begin to emerge now will prepare you for greater ones yet to come, for truth is infinite, and each unveiling is merely a door to the next level of understanding. The more you embrace the light, the more light is given. To witness the unveiling of truth is both a privilege and a responsibility. With revelation comes accountability, for once you see, you cannot return to blindness. The answers you have longed for will demand response. They will call you to change, to act, to align with the higher order that sent them. The comfort of ignorance will no longer fit you, for the truth, once received, transforms identity. You will begin to speak differently, see differently, choose differently. The unveiling reshapes not just knowledge but essence. It awakens the part of you that was dormant, the part that carries divine insight and courage to walk in light even when the world prefers darkness. The unveiling of long-awaited answers will not be confined to words. It will manifest in circumstances. Paths that were blocked will open. Relationships that were unclear will reveal their true purpose. What once seemed confusing will suddenly make sense, and the invisible hand behind your life's orchestration will become undeniable. The more truth unfolds, the more peace replaces anxiety, for clarity brings stillness. The unveiling releases what has been trapped in cycles of uncertainty and invites you into the flow of divine understanding. Every hidden thing is coming to light not to harm, but to heal, not to shame, but to free. As these truths rise from the depths, they will bring confirmation to your spirit, confirmation of what you have sensed all along but could not prove, validation of the inner knowing that others may have dismissed. You will understand why certain things ended, why others never began, why certain doors stayed closed until now. Every revelation will serve as a key unlocking layers of wisdom, understanding, and peace that were once sealed behind the veil of mystery. You are not being overwhelmed, you are being enlightened. The unveiling of hidden truths is the divine response to endurance, faith, and perseverance, a reward for holding on when everything seemed silent. The light that now comes will not be dimmed again, for once truth reveals itself, it continues to expand, reaching into every corner where shadow once dwelled, until all that is meant to be known stands, revealed in perfect clarity. What was delayed will now come suddenly and with power, and the movement that seemed to be paused is about to accelerate beyond human expectation. There are moments in divine timing when the waiting breaks, when the invisible pressure that has been building releases in an instant, sending waves of transformation across everything connected to your journey. The delay was never denial, though it felt heavy and endless. It was alignment. The purpose of delay was to strengthen your foundation, to shape your endurance, to ensure that when the release came, it would not be squandered by unreadiness. The realm of heaven never forgets, never overlooks, never abandons what it has promised, but it works with precision, knowing that speed without purpose destroys what patience was meant to build. And now that patience has reached its completion, and the divine decree has shifted, the season of waiting is over, and what once crawled will now run. Sudden movement is often preceded by stillness. The stillness was necessary because something greater was forming beneath the surface, something that required divine synchronization. When heaven moves, it moves with force, but it does not move without order. Every delay was the placement of a hidden piece, every postponement a recalibration of circumstances unseen. What you thought was inactivity was divine engineering, rearranging lives, events, and even atmospheres to make room for the magnitude of what is about to arrive. When the release comes, it will not trickle in quietly. It will burst forth, defying logic, rewriting expectations, leaving no doubt that it was not the work of human hands. There is a sound in the spirit that precedes the sudden. It is a vibration that calls forth readiness, a stirring that whispers change is imminent. You have felt it without knowing what it was: the sense of urgency, the inexplicable anticipation, the subtle inner trembling that keeps you awake though the world sleeps. That is the signal of acceleration. The unseen realm has begun to move, and what was once slow is gathering speed. The divine current has shifted direction, and everything tied to your purpose is being swept into forward motion. There will be no more stagnation, no more lingering in uncertainty, for the hand that delayed is the same hand that now releases. What comes suddenly carries power because it has been stored up. The longer the delay, the greater the buildup of energy behind the promise. Think of an arrow drawn back tightly on a bowstring. The tension feels like restraint, yet the deeper the draw, the farther the arrow will fly when released. Every moment of frustration was tension in the divine bow, pulling you back only to propel you farther than you could have reached on your own. When the moment comes, it will feel like breakthrough upon breakthrough, one door opening after another, one confirmation following the next. The sequence will unfold rapidly because heaven wastes no time once release is commanded. This sudden movement will not come as chaos, but as perfect order manifesting at divine speed. The people meant to align with you will appear, the opportunities that vanished will return renewed, and the resources that seemed lost will surface multiplied. The power within this release carries restoration, redemption, and reward all at once. You will look back and realize that the waiting did not diminish you. It increased your capacity to hold what is now arriving. The delays refined your discernment, strengthened your resolve, and purified your intentions so that when the blessing comes, it will not control you. You will steward it wisely. Suddenness is the signature of the divine when time catches up to destiny. The release that is approaching will bypass processes that once seemed necessary, collapsing timelines that would have taken years into moments. What would have taken great effort will unfold effortlessly, not because you have changed in power, but because divine favor has shifted in your direction. It is the kind of acceleration that cannot be explained by strategy or skill, for it is the result of divine momentum. When this kind of power moves, it overturns delay, silences doubt, and establishes results that stand as testimony of divine orchestration. Those who grew weary during the waiting will soon see why it was necessary. The long silence was a prelude to a thunderous unveiling. The divine does not release until everything aligns perfectly with its purpose, and now the alignment has occurred. The appointed time has converged with the prepared vessel, and that union always produces manifestation. The waiting season, though difficult, taught you endurance, humility, and focus. These qualities are now the foundation upon which sudden blessing will rest. Without them, the weight of fulfillment could crush rather than elevate. You are no longer who you were when the waiting began. You have become ready for what once would have been too much to carry. This suddenness will come not only in events, but also in understanding. Revelation will arrive swiftly, and what was confusing will become clear in an instant. The fog that surrounded your decisions will lift, and paths that seemed blocked will reveal themselves as open all along. What seemed complicated will become simple, because the divine hand removes resistance when the appointed time strikes. You will see why certain people left, why some seasons ended abruptly, and why certain prayers seemed unanswered. Every delay had meaning, every pause was preparation. Now that preparation is being activated, and everything will begin to unfold in harmony with divine purpose. When the divine moves suddenly, it often feels like a storm, swift, unstoppable, powerful. But this is not a storm of destruction, it is a storm of fulfillment. It uproots what no longer belongs, clears away the remnants of stagnation, and plants what is ready to grow. The movement will bring both endings and beginnings at once, but both are blessings. Old structures will collapse not as loss, but as release. New opportunities will appear as if from nowhere, yet they were waiting behind the veil all along. The power that comes with this shift is creative power, the power to rebuild, to multiply, to restore what was once thought gone forever. Many will be astonished at the speed of what is about to happen. The same people who thought you had been forgotten will witness how quickly things turn. In a moment, tables will turn, paths will open, and what seemed impossible will be completed. It will not be by your strength, but by the acceleration of divine order that now overrides the weight of delay. What took others years will take you days, not as a comparison, but as a sign that divine grace operates beyond limitation. The suddenness carries a message. Time has shifted. The atmosphere is no longer still. It is alive with movement. You may feel the pull, the sense that something greater than you is moving through your life, rearranging circumstances faster than you can comprehend. That is the divine at work, fulfilling promises that were written before you even knew to hope for them. The same force that held back release now propels it forward with irresistible strength. There is no power that can hinder what has been decreed to move. The word has been spoken, the command issued, and the motion begun. The power of the sudden lies not only in its speed but in its certainty. When heaven decrees movement, it cannot be undone. The doors that open now will stay open, the breakthroughs that come will multiply, and the blessings released will expand far beyond your initial understanding. What was delayed was being fortified, what was held back was being perfected, and now the release carries the weight of everything refined by waiting. The suddenness will not merely surprise, it will confirm that the delay was never wasted, that every second was part of divine design, building strength, alignment, and power for the moment when everything changes at once. The act of opening aligns your spirit with divine timing and purpose, connecting what is within you to what has been waiting in the unseen realm to meet you. There are moments when heaven extends an invitation, not through visible signs, but through a quiet stirring in the heart, an urging that says, "Now is the time." To respond to that call, to open what has been placed before you, is to come into synchronization with the rhythm of eternity. Alignment is not a passive condition. It is an intentional posture of the soul, a state of awareness that recognizes when divine timing intersects with human readiness. Every movement in the spiritual realm requires alignment for manifestation, for nothing can descend into the physical unless it first resonates with the vibration of obedience and faith. The act of opening, then, is a bridge between your willingness and heaven's orchestration, a sacred point of contact where what has been promised begins to unfold. When you open, you are not simply receiving, you are aligning. You are declaring that you trust the timing that has brought you here, that you acknowledge the wisdom of every delay and every detour that shaped your readiness. Divine purpose is not revealed all at once. It unveils itself layer by layer, responding to the openness of your heart. To open is to position yourself in flow with that unfolding, to say yes not only to revelation, but to transformation. The moment you open your spirit, you release resistance and allow the divine current to carry you into the appointed season that has been waiting for your consent. Timing without openness is missed opportunity, but openness at the right moment activates divine synchronization. The divine timing that governs all things is precise beyond comprehension. It is not bound by human calendars or clocks, yet it orchestrates everything with perfection. When you are aligned with it, everything begins to flow in harmony. The right people appear, the right words are spoken, and even obstacles begin to serve as pathways rather than barriers. The act of opening is the signal that tells heaven you are ready to move in step with that timing. It is the release of control, the surrender of personal agendas, and the willingness to be guided into what was written for you before time began. There is no coincidence in divine order. Every encounter, every pause, every turning point has been positioned for purpose. Many spend their lives struggling against divine timing, forcing outcomes that are not yet meant to be or clinging to moments that have already passed. Yet those who learn to open only when prompted by the inner call walk in a rhythm that feels almost effortless. This is because alignment removes resistance. When you act in alignment, your energy is not wasted on anxiety or confusion. It flows smoothly into creation. The act of opening becomes an act of co-creation with the divine, a silent agreement that says, "I am ready to receive what has been prepared for me." In that moment, everything begins to shift. Delays dissolve, confusion clears, and paths appear where there once were walls. The alignment between spirit and divine timing is not something that can be forced. It is cultivated through awareness, trust, and surrender. It requires listening more deeply than usual, feeling more than analyzing, sensing more than calculating. The prompting to open often comes softly, disguised as intuition or an inner knowing that cannot be explained. It asks for faith without full understanding, for movement without visible assurance. Those who respond are those who discover that divine timing is not delayed, it is deliberate. It arrives the moment readiness meets obedience. The moment you open at that intersection, the unseen realm responds immediately, setting in motion the chain of events that bring the purpose into form. When you open, you align not only your individual spirit but the space around you. Your openness becomes a magnet for synchronicity. It draws together threads of destiny that were scattered by doubt or delay. People you have not met begin to cross your path. Conversations lead to revelation. Opportunities arise in places you had given up on. This is the power of alignment. It turns coincidence into confirmation, chaos into clarity. The divine works through alignment because alignment means harmony, and harmony is the natural state of creation when it is fully connected to its source. Opening also requires courage, for alignment with divine timing often means letting go of your own. It asks you to trust that what you desire will come when it is meant to, even if it does not match your expectations. It requires faith that the divine sees the whole picture while you see only a fragment. When you open, you are saying that you choose alignment over control, purpose over impatience, timing over urgency, and in that surrender, you find that everything moves more swiftly and smoothly than it ever could through striving. Divine timing does not rush, but it never fails. It arrives like dawn, inevitable, radiant, unstoppable once it begins to rise. The act of opening is also a signal of maturity in the spiritual sense. It means you have learned to discern the difference between waiting and resisting. Waiting in faith refines, resisting in fear delays. When you open, you stop resisting and start participating. You enter the flow that was always meant for you. The divine cannot force its purpose upon you. It must be welcomed. That is why opening is powerful. It is your consent that allows heaven to act on your behalf. The moment you open, a divine sequence activates, invisible yet undeniable. Doors that were sealed begin to move, ideas once dormant awaken, and even the timing of others connected to you begins to align with yours. Every act of opening ripples outward beyond what you can see. It is not only about personal blessing or revelation, it is about the larger tapestry of divine purpose. You are a thread within that design, and your openness helps complete patterns that touch others. When you align with divine timing, you help others find their alignment too. Your openness becomes an example, a spark that encourages others to release fear and embrace trust. It shows that divine timing is not to be feared but followed, not to be questioned but honored. Sometimes alignment feels like being still, and at other times it feels like being propelled forward with great momentum. Both are divine movement. Stillness prepares, motion fulfills. The act of opening unites the two, for in that single choice you acknowledge both rest and readiness. You say yes to the preparation that came before, and yes to the movement that follows. That is why every opening feels sacred. It carries the weight of all that preceded it, and the power of all that is about to unfold. When your spirit aligns with divine timing, you no longer chase what belongs to you. It begins to find you. Synchronicities multiply, inner peace replaces striving, and clarity guides every step. The outer world starts to mirror the inner alignment. The divine purpose that once felt distant becomes tangible, unfolding effortlessly because the timing and the vessel are finally in agreement. The act of opening is not a single moment. It is a rhythm of continual alignment, a way of living that keeps you in harmony with divine motion. It is the key that turns confusion into clarity, waiting into manifestation, and purpose into reality. Unexpected news will confirm that heaven has intervened in your path, a divine signature written across the events of your life, undeniable and precise in its timing. What may seem like coincidence to others will reveal itself to you as a pattern, a deliberate orchestration by the unseen hand that governs destiny. The unexpected will not come in fragments of confusion, but in clarity so profound that it will awaken something dormant within your spirit. You will know, without explanation, that what is unfolding carries the mark of the divine. Every delay, every struggle, every unanswered prayer will begin to form a mosaic of meaning, a story that could only have been authored by higher design. When the news comes, it will not merely be information. It will be revelation, evidence that your steps have been guided even through seasons that felt silent or forgotten. This news will carry the energy of suddenness, but it will not be random. What arrives will be both a message and a manifestation. The divine often moves in ways that seem unexpected because human vision cannot see the invisible preparation that precedes the event. For months, perhaps years, the unseen has been aligning circumstances, softening hearts, and preparing moments for this very hour. The sudden arrival is simply the visible proof of what has been moving quietly all along. When you receive it, you will sense that everything was leading here, that the interruptions were instructions, the detours were directions, and the pauses were not punishment, but positioning. Heavenly intervention always carries a resonance that cannot be mistaken. It arrives with peace, even when it overturns what was familiar. It carries confirmation through synchronicity, through signs that echo the same message in different forms, until you can no longer dismiss them as coincidence. The unexpected news may come through a person, a situation, a realization, or a breakthrough, but its essence will be the same, a shift that realigns you with what has been divinely appointed. You will feel the weight of significance in the simplest of moments, as though time itself bends to emphasize the importance of what you are witnessing. Often, divine intervention is recognized not only by what it brings, but by what it removes. The news that comes may close doors that were never meant for you, freeing your spirit from the weight of unaligned paths. It may expose truths you were not ready to see before, truths that now liberate you from confusion. It may bring people back into your life, or release those who could no longer walk the road of your destiny. Each of these movements is an act of intervention, a precise adjustment in the structure of your life to ensure alignment with the higher plan. The divine interrupts not to harm, but to harmonize, not to take away, but to make room for what was waiting beyond your vision. The moment you hear or sense this news, something inside you will shift. The atmosphere around you will feel charged, as if creation itself is responding. You may not understand it at first, but you will recognize its energy. It will carry a sense of divine rightness, even if it challenges your expectations. The unexpected is not meant to confuse but to awaken. It shakes the foundation of ordinary thinking so that revelation can enter. The news may come through a whisper, a dream, a message, or an event so small it could be overlooked. Yet its impact will be undeniable. It will resonate deep within, confirming that you are seen, known, and guided. For many, divine intervention reveals itself after long seasons of waiting or uncertainty. When the unexpected arrives, it often feels like the fulfillment of something you could once only hope for. The timing will be so exact that you will realize nothing was ever lost. It was only waiting for the moment to be revealed. This is the nature of heavenly orchestration. What seems delayed in human time is perfectly aligned in divine time. The intervention will not only answer a prayer, but will redefine your understanding of how deeply you are connected to the higher plan. You will realize that heaven has not only heard you, but has been working in silence, arranging every detail for this very moment. The news that comes will also carry a message beyond the words themselves. It will be accompanied by a spiritual awakening that opens your perception to a higher reality. You will see patterns where you once saw chaos, purpose where you once saw pain. Divine intervention often reveals itself through the lens of hindsight, yet this time it will be different. You will recognize it in the moment it arrives. The veil between the seen and unseen will thin, allowing you to feel the movement of heaven in real time. This awareness is a gift, an invitation to walk in deeper alignment and greater faith, knowing that divine assistance is no longer a distant concept, but a living presence within your journey. The surprising nature of the news will test your readiness to receive. It will call you to respond not with fear or doubt, but with recognition and gratitude. When heaven intervenes, it does not ask for your analysis, it asks for your acknowledgement. The proper response to divine movement is openness. To receive what is being revealed without resistance is to honor the timing of its arrival. You may not comprehend its full meaning immediately, but your spirit will. Deep within, you will feel peace where there should be confusion, and assurance where logic finds no explanation. This peace will be your confirmation that the hand of heaven has touched your path. There will be signs surrounding the news that reinforce its divine origin. Numbers may repeat, symbols may appear, words may echo through different people or events, all carrying the same vibration of confirmation. The air itself may feel different, your intuition may heighten, your dreams may become vivid. All of these are signals that heaven is near, communicating through the language of synchronicity. The divine does not speak in randomness, it speaks in patterns. Those who are attuned will recognize the language and understand that the unexpected is not accidental. It is intentional communication from realms beyond sight. When this intervention manifests, gratitude will open even greater flow. Gratitude transforms revelation into transformation. It seals the moment, anchoring it in your awareness so that you can walk forward with clarity. The divine rarely intervenes just to comfort. It intervenes to redirect, to elevate, to awaken. The unexpected news will therefore not only affirm that heaven has acted, it will call you to action as well. It will awaken courage, inspire change, and realign you with purpose. You will sense that something greater is now guiding you, something that does not require explanation but only trust. Those around you may not understand how profoundly this moment affects you, because the experience of divine intervention is deeply personal. Yet its impact will extend beyond you. What touches your path also shifts the atmosphere around you. Others connected to you will begin to feel the ripple of this alignment, perhaps even receiving their own confirmations through your transformation. The divine works in interconnected ways. When one thread in the tapestry is pulled into alignment, others begin to adjust in harmony. Your breakthrough becomes the catalyst for others' awakening. This news will not be ordinary. It will carry energy that lingers. Days and weeks after its arrival, you will continue to feel its echo. The world around you may look unchanged, but within, a deep recognition will settle, a knowing that something sacred has shifted. It will mark the end of wandering and the beginning of walking with purpose renewed. It will remind you that heaven is not distant, that intervention is not rare, and that divine communication continues in ways that defy human limitation. What is about to reach you will not only surprise you, it will awaken you, align you, and affirm that the unseen has always been working on your behalf. Signs and patterns will manifest as proof of the unseen realm moving, appearing in forms both subtle and unmistakable, weaving through the rhythm of your days until even the most skeptical part of you can no longer deny that something greater is orchestrating your steps. These signs will not be random coincidences, but divine alignments, speaking through repetition, timing, and resonance. They will emerge like whispers from eternity, gently breaking through the noise of the physical world to remind you that you are not walking alone, that every event, every encounter, every seeming chance moment has meaning beyond what the eye can see. The unseen realm communicates through symbols, through motion, through the interconnectedness of all things, and when it begins to move openly in your life, it leaves behind trails of confirmation that grow stronger the more you pay attention. You may begin to notice numbers repeating at precise moments, words spoken by strangers that echo something you prayed about, or sudden bursts of intuition that later prove undeniably accurate. These are not small things. They are coded messages written into the fabric of time, signals that the unseen has stepped closer into your awareness. Patterns emerge to awaken, not to confuse. They appear because you have entered a phase of heightened spiritual sensitivity, where what was once invisible begins to take form. The more you notice, the stronger the manifestation becomes, for recognition opens the channel of communication wider. When heaven moves, it speaks in a language of alignment, one that transcends words and flows through energy, timing, and vibration. These signs may begin quietly, like a whisper only your spirit can hear, but they will increase in frequency and intensity as your awareness grows. You might see the same symbol in different places within hours of each other, a feather, a number, a word that stands out repeatedly. It will feel as if the world is mirroring your inner journey, because in truth it is. The external world is not separate from the unseen realm. It is its reflection. When the divine moves, reality bends to display its fingerprints. The material becomes a canvas upon which spiritual truth paints its designs. What you perceive as patterns are actually intersections, moments where the eternal touches the temporary to confirm divine presence and guidance. Often these manifestations come during times of uncertainty, when faith is tested and doubt seeks to cloud your vision. Yet it is in such moments that signs are most needed and most abundant. The unseen does not remain silent when your spirit seeks confirmation. It answers, though not always through direct speech. Instead, it sends markers, gentle nudges that say, "Stay the course, you are being led. Keep your heart open." When you honor these patterns instead of dismissing them, you strengthen your connection with the unseen. The realm beyond sight does not demand belief. It invites participation. It calls you to notice, to listen, to discern the movement of divine intelligence that threads through the smallest details of your life. Every sign carries energy. Some will bring peace that settles the heart instantly. Others will spark awe or a deep knowing that you cannot explain logically. These sensations are the soul's response to divine contact. The unseen realm speaks directly to your spirit, bypassing the limitations of the mind. This is why trying to rationalize every sign diminishes its power. The language of heaven is symbolic. layered with meaning that unfolds over time. What you recognize today as a simple message may later reveal itself as part of a larger revelation. Patterns evolve, linking together like pieces of a celestial puzzle until the full picture of divine movement becomes clear. Sometimes the signs manifest through timing so precise that it defies probability. A message arrives at the exact second you think of it. A door opens just as you were about to give up. A person calls right when you needed to hear their voice. These are not accidents, they are alignments. The unseen operates beyond the constraints of time, and when it intervenes, it bends time to deliver proof that its presence is active and intentional. It is through these perfectly timed intersections that the unseen affirms its reality. You are reminded that every step you take is observed, every moment recorded in the divine sequence that guides your journey. There are also patterns that repeat in order to teach. When the same lessons, situations, or emotions arise in cycles, it is not punishment. It is the unseen guiding you toward mastery. Patterns repeat until they are understood. Each recurrence carries the opportunity for deeper insight, for refinement of character, for alignment with higher truth. The unseen realm is patient in its teaching. It will send messages through experience, through reflection, through people who mirror what you most need to recognize. The moment you see the pattern clearly, it dissolves, because awareness is the key that unlocks growth. Thus, even the challenges that repeat in your life are proof of divine movement, disguised as invitations to evolve. At times, the signs will be too powerful to overlook. Dreams may carry prophetic messages. The atmosphere may shift in ways that make your spirit tremble with recognition. You may feel presence, warmth, or light around you at unexpected moments. The unseen realm often manifests through sensation, because feeling is the purest form of knowing. These experiences are not imagination. They are the meeting point between worlds. When heaven moves, it touches your dimension lightly, enough to awaken but not overwhelm. Those attuned to its frequency sense it before it fully reveals itself. The more your spirit aligns, the clearer and stronger these manifestations become. It is important to remember that signs and patterns do not exist to replace faith, but to reinforce it. They are confirmations, not conditions. They serve as reminders that the unseen is near, that your prayers are not echoes lost in the void, but seeds planted in fertile soil. When you see the signs, respond with acknowledgement, gratitude, and trust. Speak softly to the unseen in return, not through ritual, but through awareness. Say, I see, I understand, I am ready. This acknowledgement strengthens the bridge between realms, inviting greater revelation. As the unseen continues to move, patterns will form not just around you, but within you. Your intuition will sharpen. You will begin to feel the direction of divine motion before it becomes visible. You will sense when to act, when to wait, when to listen. This sensitivity is a gift born from connection, and the signs that once seemed external will begin to flow through your own being. You become the pattern itself, a vessel through which the unseen expresses its will. When this happens, you no longer seek signs desperately. You live in communion with them. Every breath, every heartbeat, every step becomes part of the rhythm of divine movement. In time, you will look back and see that nothing was random. Every repetition, every coincidence, every pattern of light and shadow was leading you to this awareness. The unseen realm has always been near, its presence woven into the fabric of your existence. It moved through your delays and your breakthroughs, through your tears and your triumphs, shaping the journey with invisible precision. The signs that now surround you are reminders that you were never forgotten, that divine forces have been working in silence, writing messages into your reality to prove that you are part of something vast, purposeful, and eternal. This moment marks the shift from waiting to awakening and fulfillment, a sacred turning point in the timeline of your existence where all that has been promised begins to emerge from the unseen into the visible. You have stood in seasons of silence where prayers seemed unanswered and visions delayed, yet beneath that stillness, movement was taking place beyond your awareness. Waiting was not absence, it was preparation. Every moment of stillness, every pause that tested your patience, was shaping your capacity to carry what is now being released. Awakening begins the moment you realize that the waiting was never wasted, that it was part of a divine rhythm designed to bring you into alignment with the fullness of what has been written for your life. The air around you feels different because the atmosphere has shifted. What once felt like distance now feels like closeness. The unseen that watched from afar now draws near, and your spirit begins to rise in recognition that the time of manifestation has arrived. This shift is not simply an external event. It is an inner awakening that changes how you perceive everything. You begin to see with new eyes, to sense divine orchestration, where before there was only confusion. The awakening breaks the illusion of delay and reveals the truth that divine timing has always been exact. You were never behind. You were being synchronized with the rhythm of heaven, and now that rhythm is accelerating. Fulfillment is not random. It comes when both the inner and outer worlds align in readiness. Your awakening is the signal that this alignment has occurred. It is the ignition of destiny, the moment where potential transforms into manifestation. You may feel a surge of energy within, a deep awareness that something is unfolding. It may not yet have taken full form, but its presence is undeniable. The shift from waiting to awakening carries with it a sense of divine momentum. Things that once took great effort now begin to flow effortlessly. Opportunities appear without striving. Doors that were closed begin to open as though responding to an unseen command. What you once chased now begins to find you. This is the evidence of fulfillment beginning to unfold. It is not by chance, but by divine orchestration. For the moment of awakening activates the promises that have been hovering around you, waiting for the right vibration of faith and readiness. The same energy that sustained you through the waiting now transforms into the energy that propels you into action. It is a transition from stillness to movement, from endurance to expression. During waiting, you learn surrender. During awakening, you learn participation. The divine now invites you to move in partnership, to walk with awareness of the guidance that flows around you. You begin to recognize divine timing not as a constraint, but as a companion. Every step feels guided, every decision infused with purpose. The confusion that once clouded your path gives way to clarity, and you realize that the answers were always present within you, waiting for the moment your spirit could perceive them. This is the fulfillment of understanding, the merging of divine will and human awareness into a single harmonious flow. The more you embrace this awakening, the more the outer world begins to respond in synchronization with your inner light. The shift also reveals the divine order behind what once felt chaotic. You begin to see that delays were not denials but divine strategies, that closed doors were not rejection but protection. Every unanswered prayer becomes clear in retrospect, each one redirected to align you with what was truly meant for your highest good. Awakening allows you to interpret the past differently, to see divine intelligence even in your pain. This awareness transforms memory into wisdom, and wisdom becomes the seed of fulfillment. You start to move differently, no longer out of desperation, but from divine confidence. You sense that what is yours cannot be lost, and what is not meant for you cannot remain. As awakening deepens, fulfillment begins to manifest in layers. It may start with small signs, confirmations, alignments, inner peace that settles like dawn light after a long night. These are the early blossoms of a harvest that has been growing unseen. Soon what was invisible begins to take form. Prayers manifest as opportunities. Desires take shape as divine assignments. People appear at just the right time, carrying answers you didn't know were already prepared for you. This unfolding is not forced. It flows naturally, as though creation itself has recognized your readiness and responded in kind. It is the law of divine timing responding to alignment, the invisible hand arranging circumstances to mirror your awakened state. The shift from waiting to awakening is also a shift in perception, from longing to recognition, from asking to receiving. In awakening, You realize that fulfillment is not a future event but a living state of being. The external manifestations are merely reflections of the inner realization that you are already whole, already connected to the divine source from which all blessings flow. Fulfillment begins within before it appears without. The moment your spirit awakens to its own divine inheritance, creation responds instantly. The energy of fulfillment radiates from your awareness, attracting all that resonates with it. What once felt impossible now unfolds naturally, for you are no longer seeking from lack, you are living from completion. This moment is not only personal, but cosmic. The awakening of one soul shifts the vibration of many. When you awaken, you become a vessel through which divine energy flows into the collective, awakening others by resonance. Your fulfillment is not isolated. It contributes to the greater movement of divine purpose across creation. The light that now rises within you signals a larger unfolding, a ripple that touches every heart connected to yours. As you step into this new frequency, you will notice others awakening around you, drawn by the same energy that has called you forward. This is how divine fulfillment multiplies. It spreads through awareness, through connection, through shared recognition of truth. There is also a sacred calm that accompanies this transition. The anxious striving that defined waiting dissolves into peace.